Hey guys, it's been quite a while. Actually, this is the 16th episode of Talknology that we are doing. So we decided to go a little outside of how we normally do things.
Yeah.
This episode is going to be a bit smaller because as it seems right now, no one is watching for, the 30-minute long episodes.
Yeah.
So what we are trying to do is cut down on the runtime. So let's actually do that by cutting down on the intro as well.
Yeah.
So this is your host, Amurto.
With Ananthan.
And let's get this episode started. Last week when Apple released the M1 chip for their new lineup of Macs, we were a little bit skeptical about it, right?
Yeah.
They had some very, very tall claims about performance, battery life, and we haven't seen that sort of claims actually materialize before.
Yeah, because a transition to a new processor for an existing ecosystem as an architecture is going to be hard, and mostly all companies and it's going to be a rough ride for most companies to make that transition. And the claims that Apple was making was a little bit of a stretch, right?
Exactly.
So basically we both were a little skeptical about Apple's claims, but initial reports say it's pretty good, right?
It's pretty good, and it's like actually what seems to be happening right now is that with with apps that have been optimized for the M1, it is actually even beating out the top iMac right now.
Yeah.
So it's actually beating out all the laptops and even beating out the top iMac.
When it comes to mobile systems, like the Apple 16-inch MacBook Pro, it is the best in the class with a touch bar and better cooling solutions. The iPad Pro is the MacBook Pro is with the M1 chip is actually beating them in benchmarks and all cases and scenarios.
In most cases, at least, especially those cases where we have the M1 being optimized.
Yeah.
So right now it seems like a very good deal. Like we can't call it right now, but it seems like the M1 is
gonna be a really good deal.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next big news, and that is Apple is apparently looking to ditch the iPad mini, and it's coming out with. And that's because they are going for a foldable iPhone.
Yeah, so basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to make the iPad mini their foldable solution. So they'll be continuing with their iPhone series like Samsung did with their S20. And instead of introducing a new line of smartphones like Samsung did with the Fold, they are just gonna I can't call it rebranding. They're just gonna replace the iPad mini with the foldable device. So basically, it's gonna be a foldable device.
It's gonna be a foldable iPhone.
Yeah, it's gonna be a foldable iPad, to be fair. It's gonna be a big screen, right?
Yeah, it's gonna have a tablet size screen when it's unfolded.
So it's a pretty good news, but the thing is, we don't have any official confirmation when it's gonna launch or when it's gonna come out, or even the screen size or the specifications.
Yeah.
But we just know it's gonna happen, and this is probably the way Apple would go.
Yeah, and to be fair, I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
Because, whenever Apple does something like this, they set an industry standard, they set everyone else in motion, and, every company other than actually Samsung and Huawei, Motorola, no one has been consistently launching these foldables, right? But I'm pretty sure once Apple does, that's like... That's just the traffic light.
Start an industry standard, and more companies will come into the market, and we'll get a lot cheaper, as in a Redmi Note 5 Fold or something like that.
Probably. Anyway, lots of Apple news today, but let's actually take a look at some of the other news that we have.
The next news is actually very interesting, and it's actually very exciting for all the gamers in India, as in mobile gamers in India. PUBG is coming back.
Yes. But PUBG is not exactly coming it is PUBG. We are still gonna have the same gameplay. We're gonna have the same guns. But instead of blood and splatter, we are just gonna have green blood.
Yeah, they are just making it PG friendly. But anyways, it's a good thing, right? Even if we have alternatives like Call of Duty and other games, PUBG, most people are used to the gameplay style and everything, the mechanics. People know their guns and their maps. So a lot of people were pretty sad when when PUBG
when
got
PUBG
banned.
had to be banned. So the interesting thing here is also, they're actually moving it into virtual reality. So that's what they're calling it. You're not going to be dropped into a island anymore. The entire thing is apparently now in virtual reality. Like that's how they're gonna portray, all the fights and everything happening.
Yeah.
But then this kind of censorship when it comes to games, honestly, it reminds me very much of China. Like China has its own version of CS:GO, and there is no blood in there, and even the skins do not have any skulls.
Okay.
It is very censored, and I don't actually have any confirmation if all these changes have been mandated by the Indian government, or this is PUBG taking things into their own hands and trying to make sure that they don't get banned in the future. But it seems a bit excessive.
Yeah, it seems like they are trying too hard to get the Indian audience, right?
Exactly. But hey, for those of you who are, who have been waiting patiently to play PUBG, looks like the time is gonna come soon. PUBG India is coming back.
Coming back to some smartphone leaks, Poco M3 is gonna launch soon, as in November 24th, and before the launch, the specs are leaked, of course.
Yeah.
So the Poco M3 is actually coming with a 6.53-inch screen. It's basically a rebranded version of the Redmi Note 10. So it's basically a budget phone. So we are expecting a price range of 12 to 13K.
Probably. And middle of the line specs. So we have Snapdragon 662, triple cameras with 48 megapixel being the main one. We don't really know about the other two cameras. We don't even know about the selfie camera, but we do know it has what the company calls is dot drop. Basically, it's a teardrop display. Yeah.
It's a water style notch.
Exactly.
So other than that, what we know is like basically it will come with a 6000 mAh battery. That's a good thing, and also 18 watt fast
charging.
Yeah. So we are also thinking that they'll come within the box, right?
Yeah, probably within the box, because Poco M2, M2 Pro, they both had fast chargers and they both included it within the box, right?
Yeah.
The M2 Pro even coming with a 33 watt fast charger.
Yeah.
Anyway, so moving on to the next news, and this one is a little bit of a sad news. YouTube Rewind is cancelled.
Yeah. Rest in peace, YouTube. Not rest in peace.
Yeah, it's probably going to be back next year once the COVID situation settles down.
So how we know is that YouTube tweeted on their Twitter handle that they are taking a break from YouTube Rewind on 2020.
Yeah.
So basically YouTube's Rewind started in 2010 and people celebrated it for 8 years until the 2018 YouTube Rewind was very cringy, to be honest, but it was still fun to watch. But after that, YouTube Rewind became very boring on 2019.
2019, they were like, it was like retaliatory and trying too hard. It just...
it was like not a good. It was like a Watch Mojo playlist, right?
Yeah.
It was basically a Watch Mojo playlist, so it was not a good. It was very boring, to be honest. So I think it's a good and a bad decision to take a break from YouTube Rewind right now.
I mean, it all depends, right? It's like Ubisoft taking a break from making Assassin's Creed. If they come back with something like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we are golden. If they come back with something like, I don't know, like Brotherhood, then it's like, yikes.
Yeah. So that's pretty much about YouTube Rewind. We'll move on to the next news.
So moving on to some more, fintech news. Google Pay is apparently looking to launch its own debit card. Now, this kind of comes in the wake of Apple having its own Apple Card and wallet and all that. But guys, that's a credit card. This is a debit card. So, quite a big difference. And what's more, this is probably not coming to India because, what seems like attached with the Google Pay debit card would probably be a cloud banking solution, which would probably again be owned by Google. So right now we don't know if they have the Indian regulatories on board for it, but in the US and other regions, it is tipped to be coming really soon. So maybe, for 2021, we will have Google as a banking partner.
Yeah.
Who knows?
In other news, Vivo is coming up with a new Android skin and they are calling it the Origin OS. So what they're trying to do is they're replacing the front touch OS obviously, but
they're going for a new appearance, right?
Yeah.
With Klopsky puzzles, I guess that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, like the widgets are like Klotsky puzzles. So
Exactly.
basically, it will look like Windows styles if you remember it from Windows PCs or from the Windows Phone.
Yeah, they're calling it micro alerts. So basically, again, it's, really small widgets which will
basically
update
like smart cards on Apple widgets, but it is live. It will always be updating. So it will be like flight information or the order updation or stuff like that. Seems pretty cool, right?
Seems cool, yeah. And there are also some live wallpapers and stuff in there. So overall, can't wait to try it out.
Yeah.
Let's see how that turns out. But in terms of other news from BBK Electronics, OPPO has actually confirmed that the Find X3 is coming soon. And we don't know a lot about the Find X3 right now, but what OPPO has told us is that it would have a superior color management engine. And by this, I mean it is going to blow everything like the Find X2, the Find X, they all had beautiful AMOLED screens. They had HDR10 and all that. So yeah, they were great, but this is on a different level. This is apparently gonna have 100% DCI-P3 as well as 10-bit color support. And not just that, it's gonna have that support built throughout the ecosystem. So the phone will be able to display that, it will be able to capture that through the camera, and it will be able to store that even. So even if it's a Netflix stream that you're downloading, the phone will apparently be able to somehow, understand if it's a HDR, if it's the highest quality, and it will be able to tell you what quality it is, which is pretty impressive because, Netflix has this dynamic thing where even if you start off at 1080p, it might reduce you depending on a network and all that. So let's see how it manages to do that.
Yeah. Talking more about Chinese manufacturers dominating the smartphone industry, it is Realme this time flexing their muscles with their smartphone sales this festive season. So Realme is claiming that they sold 8.3 million products during the festive day sale. What do you think?
That is quite a lot of products. But then this is not just smartphones, right? This is all of their tech products.
So basically how it comes down is they have sold 6.3 million smartphones.
That is a big number.
Which is like a 20% growth for Realme.
Yeah.
So at this point, Realme is not just a smartphone company, right?
Yes.
They are selling wearables, smart TVs, even smart plugs, security cameras, electric toothbrush. So the catalog is pretty big, and I think they are planning to expand it more, right?
Yeah, so they are gonna have a lot of IoT products coming in recently, and one of their biggest things is basically earphones, TWS as well as neckbands, and they have done pretty well in that.
Yeah, like the Realme TWS bands are really popular right now. Like the Realme Buds and the Realme Buds Q, they are selling really good because they offer a lot more for the price, and
they look like AirPods.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, on to the next news. Okay, so in other news, we have kind of like a good news, bad news situation for Huawei. So the good news is that they can now import chips from Qualcomm. The bad news? They're going to be 4G chips. Yeah, it seems like the mandate from US has come that Qualcomm will finally be allowed to make sell some of its chips as well as other partnering technologies to Huawei, but it seems like it shall be restricted only to 4G. Yeah. So while the rest of the world moves on to 5G, Huawei is stuck here. And as for their own current chips, which, have performed wonderfully well. Well, TSMC has been quoted as saying that this may be the last batch of high-end Kirin chips because TSMC is not taking orders from Huawei anymore. So it seems like really, really tough times ahead for Huawei, especially if they want to remain relevant in the smartphone world, right?
Yeah, Huawei was giving a good competition to Apple and other Android competitors because when it comes to smartphone processors, the choices were very little, right?
Exactly, but it seems like the US just wants to dominate the 5G market, and one of the best ways to do that is basically take put all your bets on Snapdragon, like Qualcomm actually, and stifle Huawei out of the competition.
So next news comes from OnePlus. So you guys know that OnePlus gets most of their ideas from their community. So OnePlus is a community based like a smartphone brand, and they listen to their customers. So OnePlus has this thing called the Announced Ideas 2.0, which is the second iteration of Announced Ideas, where they take ideas from their customers through the community and implement them. So they got a lot of entries last time. So they are implementing 7 new features into Oxygen OS, and 7 new features are basically to add an FPS counter option in game space.
That would be really awesome, right?
Yeah, that it's native, so it's gonna be more accurate and it's gonna be very easy.
Yeah.
And the next one is basically separate volume for each app and allow dual media playback.
Yeah.
And the next one is lock screen customization. That's pretty much.
Yeah, I guess it would be for the always on display.
Yeah,
And a little
that's
bit for the
like
clouds.
kind of a pre-existing thing. And wireless file transfer from PC to OnePlus devices and vice versa. So wireless PC transfer will be much more easier.
I guess they'll just implement an FTP server in their file manager app.
Yeah, that's kind of it. And the other 4 features include power diet, which is basically an aggressive battery saving mode that would greatly extend battery life for OnePlus. So it's basically like the ultra battery saver
in
Samsung, yeah. So there is that, and we have a black and a dark mode instead of like the gray mode. So we have a pure dark mode, so it will turn off the pixels in the AMOLED display. So that's a good addition, right?
That's a really good addition in terms of battery saving.
Yeah, and after that we have partial screenshot, which is pretty much self-explanatory. We don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
So these are the 7 new features. What do you guys think about it? Like, do you find any one of this pretty useful, or do your smartphone already have these all features? So we'll let you think about that and put comments down in this video, because we desperately need engagement. So in that note, we would like to end this video. I hope you like this short version of Talknology. This is the 16th episode, so we are trying to experiment more. If you have any ideas, you can feel free to shoot at us. So this is Anathan signing off with
Amarto. Have a nice day.
Bye bye.